I finally caught up with Trevor Wilkinson, who's been in so many interviews this week at Guitar Summit. And I don't quite know what to call him. He used to be called Trev Wilkinson, Guitar Guru, but he's stuck with that. He doesn't like it too much, but he is the world's most, well, pick up any guitar and you'll see a Wilkinson bridge, hardware, knobs, controls and pickups. It's pickups which we're going to talk about a lot today. If I say to Trev, what's in a pickup? Why does a pickup sound like a pickup? You'll go mad and tell me.
I think it's why does one pickup sound different and another pickup sounds different again, or whatever. Because basically they're mostly the same kind of bill of materials, as we call it in manufacturing.
Well, exactly.
It's wire, it's magnets, it's fibres, it's stick coils, it's all kinds of things. But basically what you need to do, generally speaking, is you need to put a coil of wire next to a magnet, and it will pick up the vibration from a string, and it will turn that from a vibration into electricity. That's as much as I know about pickups.
Good night and goodbye. Thank you. I mean, we talk about the winding. In the old days, I learned a lot from you where you've said to me years ago, back in the early days, the likes of Fender, the ladies would be winding away all the men. Did you see that on TV last night? Stick it in a box. How many winds was that? Today it's a bit different. So maybe that's why you get an old 60 guitar that's got a louder neck, pickup, or a louder...
I can explain the louder neck or the louder bridge or the quieter bridge or whatever it was, or the louder middle, for the simple reason that they were pretty accurate at winding. I mean, we call it scatter winding, we call it all these different things, hand winding. But they were doing a lot of pickups per day, so they would get into a rhythm, more so than what an individual winder today would be, because he would be winding in one pickup per day or two pickups per day, or doing a little bunch and then he would stop and then may come back to it 2 weeks later or whatever. I'm not criticising small volume manufacturers. I think it's great that there's so much of it going on. But these ladies were pretty damn consistent. So what they were doing is they were watching a bit like what you used to put on your bike when you were a kid that used to turn revolutions and you could tell how many miles you'd done. So they're ticking away, you know, and they were aiming always basically for 8,000 turns of wire, whatever wire it was, whether it was a Telecaster pickup, a Broadcaster pickup, a Strat pickup, a Tele, whatever it was. They were chasing 8,000 turns. But they could never stop dead on 8,000. So there could be a few going over, there could be a few under, quite a lot under. It could be 7.6, could be 7.5, it could be 7.8, could be 8.2, whatever. But the key to it was you got these ladies, let's say there was 3 ladies or 4 ladies, and they're winding these pickups. At the end of the day, they all go into a box at the end of the bench. Okay?
That's what I mean, yeah.
That's what they did. And then that box the next day went into final assembly. And when it went into final assembly, there would be another, I mean, the whole workforce was, you know, Hispanic ladies who work hard and are dedicated and wonderful people. Take them out of California to fall apart. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, if you take this box into final assembly, and literally they would go 1, 2, 3. Now then, they could test them because they had to make sure it's continuity there. There was a circuit, there was no point in doing it. But they didn't go 1, 2, 3 and check 5.7, 5.8, 6.2. Oh, I'll put the 6.2 in the bridge and I'll put the 5.7 in the middle and I'll put the 5.4 in the neck. They didn't do that. We've only just kind of figured that out. So you could get a Strat in the old days that had a phenomenal sounding neck pickup but a terrible sounding bridge pickup. And we didn't know enough in the day that we could swap those around. That they were just it. We weren't doing reverse polarity, we weren't doing reverse winding, we weren't doing that noise. And again, I mean, I think it was 76 before Fender actually put a 5-way switch in a Strat. Yeah. You know, we all knew about the nudging it in the middle between the settings and what.
With the matchstick?
With the match. Well, yeah, but you couldn't use that on stage, could you? You know, because your matchstick used to fall out when you used to select your neck pickup. Or you couldn't get it to wedge. So it wasn't really used in playing in anger on stage, you know, until people started putting the 5-way switches in a 3 pickup guitar. So, you know, so there was everything worked, but we weren't into it as pedantic as we are now, basically. So nowadays people they kind of, to me, they expect more. They expect me to do all that. They expect me to be consistent. They expect me to build them a set of pickups that give them what they're expecting when they put it in their respective guitars.
That's right. Well, let's just go back to nowadays, you see.
Okay.
Let's just have a look through some of the ones you've got here,
Okay.
Trevor.
Well, we've just done a quick video with Thomas Blue down on the sofa.
Yeah.
Don't know if you caught that or not, but we were down there. And I took 3 pickups with me, to be quite honest with you. I took this pickup and this pickup, and I also took that pickup. And for me, these are kind of like landmark changes of pickup. Here's your first pickup that would have been done in 1954 in your first Strat. Slightly larger magnets than what we mostly use today.
Right.
They were 197,000s, not 186,000. So it's 3/16 is what's normal for a vintage pickup today.
Yeah.
These were slightly bigger. And I believe the reason that these were bigger is the fact that Leo was pulling from the parts bin of his Telecaster line, which had a bigger magnet in. You know, a flat top broadcaster pickup has got bigger magnets in.
Yeah.
So if you go back in time and you go, right, well, I'm experimenting now, I'm trying to make these single coil pickups, I'm just going to go and get some magnets. So you go into the stores and you pull out magnets.
Whack 'em in.
And and you put them together and there you go. You've made your first pickup. But he did that, and that was out in for 54, 55, 56 maybe. So that's why I call it the 54, 55. So there's your starting line, if you like. And then, as we spoke before, they were chasing 8,000 turns, and generally speaking, the same magnet. And magnets, generally speaking, can be degaussed, but when you gauss them, you actually gauss them to their full. And so it's like filling a glass with water. You pour the water in the glass, when it gets to the top, it spills over. That's like that with gauss and magnets. You can't over-gauss a magnet, but you can take gauss out of it afterwards, but you can't over-gauss it, if you know what I mean.
Going back to school with physics here.
Well, yeah, and I'm not the best electronics guy in the world. I have to admit that, but I've got a reasonable set of ears on me, and I can figure stuff out. So the next thing I took with me was I took the 65, 67, and this is the era where Leo Fender had sold to CBS.
Right, yeah.
And CBS are a corporation, and there's nothing wrong with corporations, but the one thing they do like to do is make money as efficiently as they possibly can, where Leo was not interested in making money efficiently at all. So here he comes in with this, and this is always known as the grey bottom pickup. And you even have people saying, oh, grey bottom pickups sound better than black bottom pickups and all that. And of course, how could a piece of vulcanized fibre have any kind of effect on sound?
I've got a Harry the postman I tell all these stories to.
Do you really?
And if he understands them, that's fair. Most of the time he hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about.
But this pickup started off with heavy form bar wire and with Alnico 5 magnets. This is Alnico 5 magnets, but it's got plain enamel wire. And plain enamel wire, by its very nature, is actually thinner. And because it's thinner, you're still chasing 8,000 turns, but it's going to sound different because it's got a different physical size. Because of that 0.003 thousandths of an inch difference in the actual insulation thickness.
Yeah.
So you got that. So you got the grain fibre, don't make a blind bit of difference. But you do also have, in 1965, 66, definitely, you've got the advent of machine winding at Fender for the first time. Again, CBS, we want efficiency, we want continuity, and so now we're winding with a machine. So quite a lot of changes went on from that pickup to that pickup, which to the untrained eye, shall we say, is virtually identical. And they sound completely different. And with that, you can sound like Eric Johnson, if you can play like Eric Johnson. And with that, you can sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, if you can play like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Because at the end of the day, it's all in your fingers,
It's just
as well as in this.
Facts and
so
figures.
it's all that. And then the third pickup that I took with me was, of course, the daddy of them all, which is the 57 PAF.
And who taught you that one?
A gentleman by the name of Seth Lubber.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I've told you this story, haven't I? So there you go. And so there's an accurate replica of a PAF you will get. Because it's built to the spec that Seth gave me, with all the materials, the wire, the size of magnet. This is rough cast magnet, not ground magnets. It's 2.5 inches long, not 2 1/4, like most pickups are today. This is the right gauge wire on the right size bobbin. Again, has to be the right size bobbin. We said this many times, I don't know whether I've said it to you or not, but pickups sound the way they look.
Yes.
And you really think about that, you go, okay, single coil pickup sounds, it sounds that way. A P90, single coil pickup. It don't sound like that.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
And this is wide, and that's wide. So this doesn't sound like that either. This sounds fat like it is. But even this is still putting out 8K, generally speaking, somewhere like that, close. 7.9, 8.1, depending on what it is. But the character of the humbucker is, when you dig into it, it pushes.
Of course.
It's making more voltage.
Yes. As you harder you hit.
And that's where it is. But when you back off on it, that's a telly on steroids.
Yep.
That's a single coil sounding pickup.
Yep.
But it's the pickup that everybody thinks is Slash, Angus Young, you know, and they're usually building. They're usually using something that's sort of like a pretty much bigger output than what this originally was. You know, which all came about, I think, in probably in the 70s. You know, you look old enough to remember this, but we used to take off the covers.
That's right. Yeah.
And why did we take off the covers? Because the covers got changed from nickel silver, which doesn't affect the pickup, to brass, which does affect the pickup, because management said brass is cheaper, we're plating it anyway, so nobody's going to know why we wouldn't worry about it. And then all of a sudden you get somebody like Alvin Lee, who's got a 335,
With a single
and he takes the covers off, and the guitar lights up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we learnt all about that, and then you get Larry DiMarzio coming along, and he's winding his own pickups, and he's overwinding this and overwinding that, and all these things. So all these things they come about sometimes by accident or by design later, and we learn about it. So now we know quite a lot about pickups.
You do?
No, I think, well, let's put it this way. Everybody has access to a lot of information these days, don't they?
Of course they do, yeah.
And the only thing you can actually say is, do we have the ears to recognise it? Do we want to recognise it? Or do we do like an awful lot of people do, and we don't buy the guitar with our ears, we buy it with our eyes?
The magpie instinct again. Sparkly, shiny.
It is. It's lovely, fancy top. Yeah, but what does it sound like?
Yeah.
Nice piece of furniture. Yeah? Put it on the mantelpiece. Beautiful. But that's just part of our industry nowadays. People buy it because they love it, and it's sort of like, you know, you get people and they pick a guitar and they go, oh, look at the top on that, that's beautiful. And to me, that's not beautiful. You know what I mean? A Daphne Blue 65 Strat that's been through the wars, not necessarily wrecked like we're doing with distressed guitars today, but with you know, general real wear that has come from buckle rash and leaning it against an amp and dropping it on the floor and missing the jack socket with you know, that kind of wear, which is what I like as far as distressing goes. I don't like the outlandish, ripped off stuff that people do today, which becomes it's almost like a painting, isn't it? It's almost like a interpretation of something, you know?
An interpretation is the word,
yeah. So, but that's just me. That's me just ranting on like the old dude that I am.
Well, how long have we got, folks? It closes in 3 days. No, it's closing
No, we
soon.
have to be on the electric stage 2 in 10 minutes. So
right,
we better.
Okay, well, maybe we'll wrap it up.
Trevor, wrap it up
as
there.
always, we haven't touched, well, just the iceberg with you. Right,
Well, I've only been doing this 40 years, so.
Absolute
What are we
pleasure
going to
talk
do?
to us.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
And keep an eye out, because we're going to go and see Trevor soon.
That'd be good.
Shop,
We'd like that.
Factory tour.
Come and see us.